Hello.
Says we're not streaming.
It froze again. I think we were both talking at the same time.
I know, I saw it freeze too.
Hi, everybody. We are having internet issues. We were supposed to go live 42 minutes ago.
Well, we're here now.
We are
Hopefully.
here now. Let us know if you can see us. Let us know how you are. And we'll just give just a moment and see if anybody joins us. I see that we are live. So, hello.
Hello, hello.
We are here to drop some chaos and some conscious creation codes today. So we just wanted to jump on. As many of you know, we are planning our second workshop in this intuitive immersion accelerant is what we're calling it. Our first one was the energy codes workshop. So this is just such a lovely follow-up, because what happens when we start tuning into energy, when we start consciously creating, when we start manifesting, is you might find that some chaos gets stirred up. Not only that, but chaos will happen regardless, right? There's cycles of life, and it's not always the love and light that we wish it to be. So this is why we thought this would be a great follow-up. And we just wanted to come on and kind of share a little bit more about what we mean when we talk about these chaos codes and all of that. And we wanted to give some real-time examples. And I think that will really help you guys see where that, applies in your life as well. So that's really what we're here to do. Oh, did we freeze again? No, we're good. We're good. So Denoba, do you have any thoughts to share about chaos codes today?
Oh, I've got so many. Well, one thought to start off. We are coming into holiday season, right? We've got Thanksgiving coming, we've got Christmas coming down the way. And how many people feel chaotic and overwhelmed with all the people and the hustle and bustle and the parties and the million things that you have to do and get ready for all of these events? And I mean, this is a prime example of chaos codes coming at you, because you're dealing with so many other people's energetic bodies, right? And they're all bumping up against yours, or you're meeting up with them, even like say in the malls while you're shopping and stuff like that. So I think like to jump in on this course and this little workshop that we're doing would be really great, because we talked about chaos codes a little bit in our last workshop, but we're going to go like a little bit deeper, and we're going to talk more about it, because there is so much more to them, and reading them and working with them. And moving through it, not holding on to the overwhelm, moving through the chaos, and, working with the chaos codes to create catalysts to move our life forward and not get stuck in the overwhelm. So, yeah.
And I want to add to, going back to the talk of the holidays, just think about in all the ways that chaos is kind of stirred up during the holidays, right? All the expectation, all of the traditions we're trying to replay. For a lot of people in the community, we find that there is this space of trying to find a healthy balance between, taking away the traditions that no longer feel good, keeping the ones that do, and how do we bring that to the family? And that's something that a lot of people in this space do wrestle with, because what are we doing here in this space? We're looking for soul alignment. We're looking for a conscious creation and a life by soul design, right? So those are some of the things you have to look at. So there's the chaos of that, the chaos of adding so much more to your plate besides your daily routine, besides what's already probably a full plate. And then, as Denova said, you're out in the malls, you're out in the stores, and it just seems to get crazier every year. And you're trying to do all of the things, all the stops you have to make, and the visits and exhibits and events, right? So much chaos just even talking about that. So this is the perfect time to start taking these teachings and these codes and implement them in your life so that you could have a really aligned holiday. We've done it. We've seen people do it. We know what we struggled with what our clients and our tribe have struggled with. And it really has changed the game for us. So we didn't even plan that. We didn't even realize really the timing of all this until earlier today. And I was like, why didn't we think of that before? So if you're somebody who kind of struggles with the overwhelm and the chaos that the holidays do brew up, perfect time to join us. So that's just one real-time example, right, of chaos and consciously creating through that.
Well, and I even want to touch on you talking about the traditions that don't align with us anymore. Like, when I was going through that, and trying to break free from traditions that my parents used to have all the time. And then, when my parents stopped doing Christmas and I was doing it, then all of my family had all these expectations put on me that I was going to uphold all of these traditions, but it wasn't in my alignment. It didn't feel right for me. I didn't want to do it. And how hard that was, and with everyone's projections put onto me and expectations, but to be able to stand in my alignment and then consciously create through all of that chaos what I wanted. And as soon as I was able to realize that I can move through the chaos to do that conscious creation, everything went smoothly and everybody was accepting and you know what I mean? Like it felt like a breath of fresh air.
Mhm.
And that's what it feels like when you use these chaos codes, and you're able to read them and work through them, not hold on to them. And
Right.
that's what we want to teach. That's what we want to do.
Mhm.
And there's no better time than now, because between now and say Thanksgiving or Christmas or any other things, there's going to be little things that come up. The chaos codes come up, work stuff comes up, kid stuff, spouse stuff, and so you will have some like nice practice to be able to start working through those things before those bigger events.
Yeah.
Right.
And what I really like about these teachings that we kind of learned, created, stumbled upon, a whole combination of things. What I really like is it's not the just all love and light. It's really easy to do some of the spiritual and the magical stuff when things are easy and when we have time and space, right? What we're talking about here is, how to get through real life, right? The logical side or the mundane side or the side where we have to be responsible. And here's how we can still have this holistic lifestyle even through all that. So whereas, at least I think for me years ago, starting out, my understanding was like it's supposed to be all love and light from here. I'm supposed to do the shadow work and feel better and not feel like chaos in my mind all the time. And there's that level of disappointment, right? What am I doing wrong? I still got depressed this day, or I went into lack that day. What did I do wrong? That's not what it's about. It's about leaning into everything coming up, finding the gold in everything, because ladies and gentlemen, it truly is there. I didn't believe that years ago. I fully believe that to be true now because I have seen the transformation, not just in myself, but my magic squad and my clients and my friends. And so this stuff we're talking about here is when you're stressed, here's how to manage, here's how to consciously create. We can't always control the outside circumstances. We can't control the weather. We can't control the holidays when they roll around and, all of those other outside things. This is taking, you can only control yourself and your reaction. This is taking that to just whole other levels.
This is where the transformation comes from.
Mhm, absolutely. And it's like, you no longer have to shame when you don't feel good. You no longer have to shame because you might feel stressed or you repeated a habit or a pattern. Here's how to be powerful through all of that. You are human. We say this all the time. You are going to have human experiences. You're going to have good days and bad days. But here's how to be powerful through all of them. Right. So with all that said, let's share some of the examples of chaos and how we've still been able to consciously create, whereas before us circa, before shadow work, we'll kind of share the difference in how we show up. So Genova's got a real-time current one as of today, as of right before our call. So I'm going to let her take the floor on that one.
So where I started working, in this example, with the chaos codes is my vehicle has been having issues this year. And it seems like every month there is something that's going wrong with my vehicle. It's an older vehicle, but I love this vehicle. And different things are going wrong with it. And always in my life, my vehicle breaks down. It's a giant stress. I always think it's thousands of dollars and it's obnoxious. And oh, where am I going to take that money from? I don't want to spend it on my vehicle. Maintenance is awful, like all of these things. And I would get so down about my vehicle. And I had my alternator replaced in May. Lifetime warranty. Great. Shouldn't need it because I'm getting it replaced. It'll probably outlast my vehicle now. 5 months later, my vehicle has broke down and left me on the side of the road, and it is the alternator. So I thought, you know, by working with the chaos codes, I move through them so fastly now, so fastly,
So fastly.
so fast. I moved through them so fast because it was like, oh my gosh, the alternator went again, and I'm on the side of the road, and I was like, it doesn't matter. My vehicle actually didn't break down necessarily on the side of the road. It broke down on the road, but it was right beside my house. And I was like, great, that was the perfect spot to break down. I don't have to tow, right? Awesome, what a win. And then it's like, I knew it's the alternator. Okay, great, it's under warranty, no big deal. Okay, I don't have a vehicle. I use my vehicle for my work. But I didn't worry about it. I was just like, oh, there's this chaos. It keeps stirring up, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna move through it. I don't have to stress about a vehicle. I'll be able to find one. It's not a problem. And I was able to find one. I've had to switch vehicles a few times in the last few weeks in order to have a vehicle, but it all just flowed very easily, very nicely, and it was not stressful. It was not upsetting. And the guy came today to fix my vehicle, and last time it took him hours. This time he was done in like an hour. And he said, yeah, it was all quick, but he says, now your starter's going. You noticed this, right? And I said, well, yeah, I thought it was electrical something. And he says, no, it's your starter. And it's going to be a bitch, really, to fix it, because we have to take the whole top end of your engine off for the starter in this vehicle. And it's going to be a big bill. And I was like, all right, I'll call you when it happens. I don't have this resonating dread and, oh my God, it's going to be thousands of dollars and this is awful. They got to take the engine apart. Should my vehicle's old? Should I put that money into it? Should I not? I'm not even worried about it. I'm like,
And
it's just going to happen. It's going to be what it's going to be. And it's just going to work out.
And I just want to, sorry to interrupt, but I want you guys to really tune into the energy of old reaction versus how she's showing up now. Even talking about it, you see how her words spin, or not spin, but how they increase. This is a perfect example of what goes on within our energy. We start spinning out and looping, and then we create all of the worst case scenarios. And the chaos just got so much worse, right? We conjured up more chaos when really it feels and looks like chaos, but really it's not. It's I mean, if we want to go down the spiritual route, I've been working really closely, as a lot of you know, with spirit lately. And one thing they've really been showing me is how we do plan a lot of things in our life, many, many, many things, like down to the minute, to the timing of the year, to this is the time the butterflies are going to be hatching in abundance. And so this is going to be the sign, because I know you'll need me the most then, right? Like that detailed, I have goosebumps. And so if we keep that theology in mind, I might not know what the benefit is of this or what it's doing for me or why it's happening. But if I somewhere in me believe that this will work out, everything does work in my favor, then that is going to be the outcome. Say it with me, friends, our reality is images and beliefs of the mind physically manifested. It's the science, that's quantum physics, right? And the woo, it's all of it combined. So anyways, there's such a difference in the two energies, and you get into the space of either you're consciously creating the desired life, or you're consciously creating the shadow life that you want nothing to do with, and you're just creating more and more and more of that. And I've seen it too. I said to Denova when she was telling me about the car thing, and she's like, and this time I'm just, it'll work out. And I kind of saw it too energetically, is, and that's really all we have to do is say that and let it go. I said, isn't that funny? But us as humans, we overcomplicate it so much, and we create the chaos more than anything else. And so again, that's what we really want to show you guys, how we learned to navigate all of this and consciously create through all the chaos that goes on in our lives.
Well, absolutely. I mean, like when something goes, wrong and there's chaos, we're not gonna, all the love and light in the world is not gonna save us from chaos. Chaos is life. Being human is messy, right? This stuff comes up, but when the chaos hits and you focus solely on the chaos and how terrible it is and this, you're going to stir up more and more unnecessary chaos, and you are just going to swim in it because you are holding on to those codes. When you move through them, that's when it becomes easy, because the chaos moves through, it has nowhere to stick, and you just let it go, right? Everything becomes more relaxed. You had the chaos, but you're able to move through it, and it came up easy.
And so there, you can do one of two things. You can resist the chaos, which is probably what you're already doing, which most of us have done our whole lives, or you can lean into the chaos, and
Yeah.
which is what we have all been experimenting with for last year or two. I mean,
Mhm.
really the last year, I think we've learned so much more about it, but the work started long before that. But at least for me, this has been one of the toughest. I've had a lot of tough years, but this one's been tough at whole new levels. And, most of you have heard the story, so we won't go into them, but, a couple of bad accidents in the family, a couple of bad losses in the family, all within like less than a year's time. And that, for me, I used to be, any unexpected event would completely throw me for a loop. And then when you let that happen, that's when one thing after another, like if Denova let this throw her for a loop, what's going to happen? It's going to be one expense after another. Then this over here is going wrong and she's feeling like crap. And then all of a sudden, you're left feeling like a total victim. And I've lived life both ways. And let me tell you, it is much more magical and abundant and powerful over here. And just really quick, it looks like we have Beth here. Hi, Beth. We have Jamie. Hello.
Hello.
And anyone else here watching with us. So anyway, we want to give those examples, and then I guess we have a lot of car examples today. This reminds me of the dryer chaos. When we were doing one of the Soul Wealth accelerators, everybody's appliances were breaking. We were all doing this massive up leveling, right? And we were calling it a dryer portal. Now we've got car stuff. But the example I thought of was a couple years ago, my son's car broke down right down the street from my sister's house, and her husband has all the tools and he is very crafty and handy, and he is redoing an old truck himself. He could tow the car if that's what it needed, and he drove a Saab. My son used to drive a Saab, and so those parts aren't always readily available. Anyway, he fabricated the part that he needed. Nobody else in our circle could have done that and as quickly as he did. So once again, we could have just spun out that he broke down on the side of the road. And my mind is always like, okay, tow truck, where am I going to tow it to? I can't have it here. It's like trying to solve all the problems at once. I stayed calm for that. And it was the perfect case scenario, right? We can't always stop the chaos, but we certainly can move through it really powerfully. And then the other example is kind of car stuff too. It's one of our alumni, and I hope she doesn't mind. I won't give all the details, but she is having big life changes. And one of them will be going out on the road in an RV and needing to get a new truck. And there was just so much that the RV had this, and then it took forever. And then the truck was this and this and this. And she just showed up for that in such a different way. And she clearly saw the difference. And she was just this boss witch, consciously creating the whole thing, and everything keeps working out in her favor, even though it appears quite frustrating. And it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to still have human moments, human reaction in those human moments. But like, here's my frustration. Okay, conscious creator, right? You step right back in.
Well, and even say you have vehicle issues, right? I got on here and I was talking to you because it just happened. You're the first person I saw. This is what's happening with my vehicle, right? How many times do you do something like that when you had a really chaotic, crappy day, or something's not going, exactly how you plan, and you get on the phone, or the next person you see you're talking to, and say, I'm telling somebody that my vehicle's broke down, and it's shitty, right? But it is, I'm moving through it. It is what it is, right? I'm going to get there. I'm consciously creating on the other side that it's not going to be as bad as, I would initially or used to think it would be, right? But now that person I told is like, oh, that's so terrible. And you're without a vehicle, and you don't have to receive that back. Yes, you can share your day. But you don't have to receive their chaos codes or, onto yourself because you've shared that story. It's okay to share those things, but you don't have to accept any of their chaos back to you, right?
Well, and let's stay on that topic for just a second, because what Genova's talking about here is, think about how many times you went and spread the wealth of the thing that just went wrong with you. You went and told this one, and then you got on the phone here, and then you texted this one. And are you consciously sharing that story, or are you just like, I'm so frustrated, I gotta tell, like, why are you doing that?
So now you're dumping your chaos codes on everybody else.
Yeah. And please make this clear. It's not that you can't talk about things, but we believe in doing everything with intention. And so know why you're going and sharing with all of these people. If you're doing it with purpose and intention, great, keep going. But check in. Am I energy dumping? Yeah, self-check, absolutely. So I don't want you to think you have to keep everything in and you can't talk to your loved ones. It's just, do everything with intention. That's conscious creation as well. Do we need to have that as the next workshop? Step 3, everything with intention. Because it took me, years to build an intentional lifestyle. You don't really realize how many areas you're not consciously living, right, in life until you start digging in. Side note, we'll icebox that for another day.
Yeah. Well, I have one last little like nugget that I wanted to give, that I find when we are in these moments and, it seems like shit's just getting thrown at us. It's usually a test. And this is how I was able to initially work through a lot of the chaos, was that I looked at it as a test, because usually when this is coming at you, it's a test. They're testing, how are you going to react to this? Are you going to behave in the old programming that you've had, or are you going to use the new programming that you're learning? Are you going to use the tools that you have learned? Because there's always an up level on that other side. So I know when lots of the chaos starts going on and things start going on around me, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is so cool. Oh my God, it's hectic sometimes, but I'm like, whoo, something big is coming. There's new things that are going to drop in, new skills come on, something's going to expand in my life. Like, it gets really exciting to me. And I think, that's part of being able to move through all of this and not getting stuck, right?
And that's when you get into the synchronicity spirals, right? Like all these synchronicities in your life. That's when things feel like they're just kind of being handed to you or put right in your path. That's where the as if by magic manifestation comes into play. Like, really, honestly, I learned this. I mean, I used to be the overworker. Like, I wore my overwork like a badge of honor on my sleeve. Let me tell you, everybody needed to know how overworked I was, right? And to realize like it doesn't have to be that way blows my mind still. So that's really what we want to share with you is we've spent the last few years kind of teaching and teaching ourselves all of the foundational work. It's all there in the academy, if that's where you're at. And this is kind of, the next levels of conscious creation and magic embodiment, and know thyself, really, that we are stepping into. So we really invite you. I put the link in the comments if you want to join the workshop. It's Saturday. Replay will be available if you cannot join us. And so everything we're talking about today, all of this chaos, what we're going to be doing is, here's how to recognize it. Here's how to recognize what Genova was just talking about, is the fork in the road moment. It is the invitation to level up or stay in shadow. And it's your choice, right? It's always going to be your choice. So anyways, we're going to give you some codes, some activation, some practical application, and how to recognize these moments and how do I really even choose differently. And this is from a fellow or a recovering, I used to freak the F out about every single thing, doomsday all the way person. So the transformation is real and available.
Let's do it. Let's have some fun together.
Yeah. So come join us at the workshop. If you have any questions, we always love to answer those. If any of this resonates and you're watching the replay, leave us some comments. We'll start tracking if we have a automobile portal we need to look out for. But just remember the downloads we kind of dropped today, and do that differently than you normally would, and just see what happens. Experiment. You will not be disappointed. Okay. Hope to see you guys in the workshop, and have a magical rest of your day.
See you.
Okay, bye everybody. Let me see how to end this.